Hi guys, this is Sai Kumar Kortiwada. In this video, we will see how to create our registration module in our Angular application, and we will be using Angular material for using the form fields, and we will be using the Bootstrap CSS for our utilities, and we will be integrating them with the HTTP calls provided by mock API. And let me quickly jump into Visual Studio Code. In this video, I'll cover everything related to register module, where we will be using validation part, saving part, creation of services, everything we'll cover related to registration part. So now let me go into register component or module. First thing, already we have created some set of modules in our previous videos, like predefined modules and material modules. Let me inject them because we will be using that material related stuff over here. So let me create something called as predefined module and material module. I have injected predefined module and material module into our application. We have created a component called as register component. So let me go into register component.html and design our UI. So let me save this. Now go to the material part and just go into the forms. That means we want a form fields. So how to get the form fields? We have all the different types of form fields over here. You can see here we have like this, text areas and stuff. Okay, let me go into the examples. So I'll go with outlined form fields like this. Okay, so I want this type of UI. So let me click on this view code and we can use this form. Let me copy this form field, and this has to be rendered on a card. So before that, we want to have a card. Let me go into the card and let me go into our examples. You can see here we have lot of cards, but here what I want to do is I just want to go with some set of simple cards. So if you see this, it is a very simple card, and it is also a very simple card, but this looks better for my implementation. So let me hit this and just get this matte card. So let me paste this matte card, and this is the simple card which we want to showcase, and this contains matte card content. That means the body, main body. It also contains different set of selectors. Let me go here. You can see matte card header. Let me copy this header part, and for this header I can give something called as registration. And here inside the card content, we are giving the card content, and we have something called as card footer as well. So footer we can use for adding our buttons. So this is for adding buttons, this is for adding our main form, and this is adding our header part. Let me save this. But this card is injected or can be utilized only with this particular module. So we don't have this module and our material module. So let me go into our material part and add this particular card module. Let me copy this, paste. So if we are using the same card in login or in other places of our application, we no need to add it again because already we have added once. Now this card is present, and we can use this matte card selectors from this particular card module. So let me close it. Now go here and go to the localhost, and let me go into the registration part we are working on. So here you can see the registration with a full heading, and it is coming for full size. You can see there is a card which is created for us, and if you see here we have auth layout works. So I think we don't need that as of now. So let me go into our auth layout component.html and just remove this paragraph. Now save this. Okay, now we got this. Now what I want to do is I want to go into our content. So what is the content I want to add? The content is very simple, like form, and inside this form I want form fields. So what are the form fields and how to use that in our Angular material? As I shown just before, we can go into the form fields and check the examples how you want to use it. So I want to use outline form field, this one, or you can use any of your design which you are familiar or like to implement. So in this case, I'll go with this one. I feel like this is bit good and it looks very nice. Let me copy this and let me create one div, and inside this div I am just pasting this. I can change them according to my usage. Let me remove this, and this is about matte icons. We'll talk in few seconds. So this is something like label. So what I want to use this label as first name, and save this. Now let me go into the placeholder. We have the placeholder here. Instead of placeholder, I'll use first name same and save this. If you want to add the icon, you can add it. If you don't want to add the icon, you can remove it. It's up to you. So let me go here and see the output. So there is a problem. Format form field is not a known element. If you see this, that means we didn't added this particular module in our material module. Let me go into material module and go to the forms module, go to the API. We didn't added this form fields module. Let me go here and just add this particular module in our material module and save this. Now you can use that module related stuff inside here. Okay, let me refresh, but we are not able to see the UI. Why? This outline and the preference is not working as expected. So we also need mat input field and mat icon module. These two modules are also required for us. So let me copy this mat input module and copy and paste here. So we don't see this. Let me copy it, and where it is imported from, it is imported from this. Copy and copy this. These are the two places which we can import so that the dependencies can also be added over here. And forms module, already we have added it before. So this two, let me add into the exports as well and save this. Go here. Yeah, you can see this, and let me make it to reset to 100. Yeah, so this is one, and we don't want this much big card. Actually, this is very lengthy card, so I want to make it very minimized. So in this case, I can use our Bootstrap CSS. Let me go here and let me cut this whole form and put it over here. And for this content, I'll create main div and cut this and put it over here. Format. Save this. You can see here. Okay. Now what I want to do is I want to make this as class. I can add something like a row, and this one I want to make it as class call -md-6. Save this. This is a grid system which I am using here, and reload. Now this is okay. We have to add this rows and stuff for our card. Let me add all our stuff to this mat card. Let me use div over here, and this card should be a row, and this card should be a class of call md6. Save this, and you can see 50% of your screen. If you want to decrease more, I can make it 4. That would be better for our. Let me reload. Now it is good. What I want to do is I want to add a justify content center and save this. So whole mat card has been moved into center part. Let me go here, and then we want a space on the top. So let me add the space on the top of the card. So mt-2, save this. So it created a margin for us, and now let me add some more 3. Let me inspect this, and you can see that margin has been added with 3. That is 1 rem. Let me make here itself like 5 will be the maximum. Yeah, 5. So I have added mt5. Save this. Now this registration is looking very small for us. Okay, so let me make this a bit big by adding some set of styles for us. Okay, now let me use this registration with a h3 tag, and I'll use something called as registration. Save this, and I want to make this as class deflex justify content center. Save this. You can see the registration came in center, and let me add a class for this where the margin top is of 2. Save this, and there is a gap between this, and now I want to increase this whole field. What I can do is I will just use this mat form field, and let me use this mat form field where this mat form field should be having a width of 100%. It should take the parent width. Let me save this, and you can see, but it looks very big. So what I'll do is I'll just reduce the size of the card. Save this. Now this is simple to create a registration form. Now what are the fields which we have to include in this registration? If you see the mock API, so what it is accepting, first thing, it requires first name, last name, mobile number, password, interested topics, which is in an array format, and created at UUID. So these are the things which it requires. So now what I'll do is I'll create all these fields. We have created the first name. Let me go and create the next set of fields. This is something like last name, and this is last name. So let me copy the same and put it over here with an email. This is our email and this is our, save this, and we have something called as mobile number and password. We have copied this and let me put it over here where it is mobile number, and this is also mobile number, and then save this. So let me put this again with a password, and this is also a password. Save this, and we have password, email, interested topics. So let me go with interested topics, copy this, and for interested topics we can use a field itself and with a comma separated. So interested topics and topics, save this. Now this is about interested topics, and coming to the created by it and UUID, that will be created dynamically for us. So let me use only these fields for us. Now let me go here. I have created all this one, and now let me go into the footer part. Inside the footer part I will add one point called as checkbox. So let me go into our form fields and get a type of checkbox. So you will be having a checkbox over here. Just we can use like this checkbox. So now go to the example. We can get any one of this example. So let me use this, or let me go into overview, and here itself we can find the checkbox, mat checkbox, check me. Copy this and go to the Visual Studio Code and add this mat checkbox, save this. And also I want a button. So this button I'll make it as div, and let me change this into something like I agree for terms and conditions. This is my checkbox, and here I can create some set of buttons. So for checkbox, first we cannot use the mat checkbox directly. So let me go and get the API part. That means the module part. So let me copy this and go to your predefined module or material module and just add that material module here. Copy this checkbox module, comma, paste, and then comma, paste, save this. Now we can use this material checkbox as well. And now I want to add a button. So already we know that buttons. So let me go into our buttons and just get that raised buttons. So let me copy this button and put it over here, and then put it one more, but this time I want to add one more thing called as danger, and this is something like register, and this is something like cancel, and save this. Now we have created all this. Let me see the output first. Let me go here, and you can see I agree, and the footer we don't have a margin. We will add the margin as well. So let me add a class with margin bottom as 3 and save this, and you can see there is a margin added over here. And now let me use a class called as d-flex, and this flex should be having justify content to end, justify content end. Save this, and you can see all the buttons came to the last, and this should be reversed. So let me go here and just make it as reverse. Save this, and this is not showing in the red color. We'll see why it is not showing in the red color, because I guess it is accent. Maybe accent will be in red color, I guess. So let me use accent and save this. Now go here, you can see it is theme pink, and now let me use something like a class, and this class I'll use. So let me add a margin end, save this, and you can see space between these two. And also what I want to do is I want to add a link where on clicking on that link he should go to login page, because he may not be login, so we have to allow him to log into the other page or move to the other page. For that sake, what I'll do is I'll make it as between, justify content between, and I'll make this as one div, and whatever the link we want to add I'll add here. So let me format this, and we have a link. So we want to add a link. So how we can add the link? Like a button. We can use the button same like link. So if you see here, it is something like link, they are using it. but I can use that, or we can use direct anchor tag. So let me go here, let me use an anchor tag, and this anchor tag, let me add a href as of now with hash, and this is already registered. Save this. Okay, now this is the link which we have added, and if you see, I want to move this a bit down, so for that sake let me add a class with margin top as 2 and save this, and you can see it is bit below, and let me add margin start as 2 so that it will move a bit. So you can see these all are in sequence. Now we have created our registration page. Now what I want to do is I want to change that icons. For changing the icons, you can go into your icons part of Angular material. So we can go here into the icons, and these icons you can find in our material icons. So this is our material icon guide actually speaking, but we will be having material icons. Let me get that link. So here you can see this link, fonts.googles.com/icons. Here we can find the icons, and let me search for person. Okay, so let me go here, and you can see the person over here. So let me get that person icon name. So what is the icon name here is material symbols, and it is person. So let me use a person over here. Let me go into our code, and first name, it is related to the person. So let me use person over here and save this. Let's see the output first. So you can see that person icon. So they are working fine. Now we can change whatever we want. The last name, it is also related to the person. So let me add person for this, and just go here, and we want an email. So let me get the email, and this is something like email. Now what I can do is I can use any of the format. So for that sake, let me use, this would be the better one, like mail. So copy this mail, and let me go and replace this one with mail, and we need a mobile number as well. So let me use something like call, maybe. Yeah, so it is call. So we can use this call for mobile number, and we have a password. So we can use an I symbol for our password. So visibility off and visibility on. First I'll use visibility. So let me copy this visibility and paste. So now we can use only visibility. Save this. And one more thing is interested topics. So I can use something like notes maybe. So we can get that notes from here. Yeah, so it is notes. Go here and just add notes. Save this, and I agree with the terms and conditions. Let me save this and go here, go to the browser, and you can see all the different types of names, but it is showing N. Actually speaking, it is notes, and we have added it as N capital, so it is not working. Notes. Save this. Go here and see this material. Yes, so these are the things which we can use for our saving purpose. So we have created our registration UI form. Now we will be coming up with the validation part of this particular registration form. Let me go into our mock API and see what are the fields we have added. It is an email, exact labels we can use in our form. Let me go here and remove this. Let me go into register.ts, and here I want to use forms. For using our reactive forms, we have to register with our predefined modules. Already these predefined modules have reactive forms. Hence we can use the reactive forms in our registration component. So let me go here and create a form called as register form. And I don't want to initialize in the starting itself. So let me use something called as form group. And now I don't want to initialize in the starting, so let me use not condition. Now what I can do is I'll use this by using form builder. For that sake, I'll use a constructor where I can add my private property called as form builder, because form builder is a service. Form builder, and now inside on init, let me implement that on init, implements on init, and let me give ng on init. So now inside this ng on init, let me use this dot registration form is equal to this dot form builder dot group. I want to create a group, and inside this group I just want to use this particular values. Let me use an email, or you can go in a sequence like first name. So let me go with the first name, and this is something like first name where I'll give an empty by default, and we should have a validation. So validators dot compose of, I will be having an array where we can pass validators dot required, and we can give the length also if we want, validators dot max length of 30 characters. I don't want to exceed the 30 characters, and I want to give a minimum length as well, validators dot min length of 5. So for giving the first name, we should give minimum length of 5 characters. And let me use the same strategy for last name as well. Copy this and put it over here. It is something like last name, and now it is something like last name itself. Save this, and we are done with the last name. And the next one is we can use something called as email, mobile number and password. Email is something like email. Copy this and let me use this email. Let me use a empty by default, and let me use validators dot compose, and inside this compose I need to get validators dot required first thing, and validators dot pattern. I want to pass a pattern for us, and I'll pass the pattern a bit later. We'll find the pattern, proper pattern for us, and we'll put it over here. And let me use a password, and this password will have an empty value by default, and validators dot compose, which is again a validators dot required, and we should have a pattern for this validation. So validators dot pattern, I will pass the pattern a bit later here as well. Now we are done with the email, password, and then interested topics. Actually speaking, interested topics, we want to pass that as an array, but whenever we want to show in the UI or whenever we are typing, we can use a comma separated values. So now let me go here and just add this interested topics, where it is again a validators dot compose, and I want to make it as validators dot required. So he can add a number of interested topics he want. And then, so let me use this pattern. Let's get that pattern for us. So we have a pattern for this particular password in this way. Save this. And if you see, we have password, but we forgot to add a mobile number. So let me use a mobile number, and it should be same like our mock API. Copy from this mock API and put it over here, mobile number. And this mobile number can be empty, and validators dot compose, it should be having a validators dot required, and the mobile number I want to add here is validators dot min length, minimum of 10 characters mobile number, and the maximum of 10 characters mobile number. So max length should also be 10. So let me save this. Now this pattern, what it helps is, it will help us to add minimum of 8 characters length, and it should include alphabets, numeric values, and special characters. So let's test this first. Let me copy this and go to the browser. So for testing that, I'll use an inspect, and let me use something called as reject tester, like var rejects is equal to new regular expression. This is how I usually test this. Re rejects value is equal to new regular expression with this value, and hit enter. There is some problem with this rejects. I'm not sure why it's breaking. So let me add a slash over here and hit enter. Yes, we have created this rejects. So rejects dot test, I want to test with some set of inputs. So my inputs are something like sai@1330. So it is true because 3, 4, 4 plus 4, 8 characters, and I gave only 7 characters, that's why it failed. And now I'm giving 8 characters, but I'm not giving the special character, then false. And I'm giving all numbers, maybe 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Again it failed. I gave all alphabets and it hit enter, failed. And now I gave sai123 @. So we have 7 characters with one more hash, Now again it gave false. Why? Because it doesn't have the capital letter. So let me put a capital letter over here, and now it is true. That means it requires at least one capital letter and at least one small letter, and it should be of 8 characters, and it should have the special characters as well. Let me add one more parameter over here. It is giving true. Why? Because it requires minimum of 8. That means minimum 8, maximum whatever you want. So that's how we can use this regex test. That's it. So we are working with the regex in a proper fashion. So this regex is good for us. So now we are managing this validators.pattern inside here itself. But these validations can be used anywhere as well. So let's create a folder called as utils. So let me go here and go to the common part, and here let me add a folder called as utils. So inside this utils, let me add a file called as regex.utils.ts or regex-utils.ts, and now let me export a const with regular expressions, and these expressions can be anything like email. Let me add an email, and the email regex is already we have over here. So let me copy this and put it over here, comma. Let me add a password pattern, and that password pattern is something related to this one. Let me cut this and put it over here. Save this. Now let me go and get the regular expressions email. So regular expressions dot email. This one is for regular expressions dot email, and this is for regular expressions dot password. So we have created all this, and now this form should be integrated with our HTML. So let me go into our HTML part, and inside this HTML we have a form over here. What I'll do is, this form is inside the content, that is mat card content, and the type of the buttons is inside the footer. Whenever we are adding type button, submit or reset, that will not work because these are not inside the form. For that sake, what I'll do is, I'll just cut this form from here and put it on the top level. And same thing, let me remove the end tag and put it in the last. So let me go to the form and add form group. So we'll get a form group, and the form group name is register form, and pass here. And we have something like input field where we can add the form control names, and the control names you can use in a sequential manner like first name, and the same thing form control name which is equivalent to the last name. Copy this, put it over here. Email control name as email, and mobile number as well, same form control name as mobile number, and then password form control name as password, and then we have interested topics. So form control name as interested topics. Save this. Now we are done with the configuration, and we want a property where we want to check whether this checkbox has been checked or not. That I don't want to include in the form because the form does not need to send that value to the backend. So now what I'll do is, I'll add is agreed boolean which is equivalent to false by default when the application loads, and let me copy this is agreed and pass this to ng modal. So let me use ng modal, and this is already a form with reactive forms, so I want to make this checkbox out of the reactive forms. Hence I'll pass ng modal options, which is like standalone. That means it is not related to our reactive forms and hold this form. So now I'll pass this standalone as true. Save this. Now we are done with the is agreed and form controls. Now we have to go with the validation part. Let me go and create first validation. Here what I'll do is, I'll just add a div, and inside this div what I'll do, I'll write some set of conditions. Star ng if my register form dot get of the first name, this is my first name, copy here, dot invalid, and we have the same thing, register form dot get invalid. Instead of invalid I'll use something like touched, and then or paste dirty. It should go inside this, and we have a paragraph where let me add the paragraph. Let me go and create the errors. So I have created an error margin over here. Copy this error margin and put it over here. This will be my error margin. Now this should show my error messages based on the validation ng if, and this ng if, what I will do, I will just pass this whole till first name, and we will be getting errors, and this errors will have required. If it has the required property, I'll say that first name is required. Same thing, let me copy a paragraph again, put it over here, and here there is something called as min length check. So first name should be minimum of 5 characters, and let me copy this, paste here. This is maximum of 30 characters, and this is max length. So we are done with the validation for the first name. Let me check that. Go to the tutorials, and here click this, first name is required. Let me type something 1 2 3. So we are getting a black color. So what I'll do is I'll just add a class called as text hyphen danger. This is the CSS, that is Bootstrap CSS. Paste here and paste here. Save this. Let me copy this div and put it over here for last name. Copy this one, paste. So let me change it to last name, done. So we are done with the last name validation as well, and copy the same, put it over here for email, but for email it will be a bit different. Copy this email, paste, paste, paste. So now for email, we have email is required and the pattern. So we should not check the max length, min length. Enter valid email, and this should be something like pattern check. So let me remove this, and coming to mobile number, we can again copy the same thing because we will have max length and min length. So mobile number should be checked with this form control. Put it over here, and then here mobile number is required, M capital here, and mobile number is required. Should be minimum of 10 characters, and also it should be maximum of 10 characters. So let me copy this and put it over here. For both the cases we should have 10 characters, so we can remove should be of 10 characters. And go here, we have something like password. So for password we can check the pattern check. Copy this. Now password, let me replace all the passwords. Password is required, enter valid password, or give password should contain alpha numeric and special characters of minimum 8 characters. So this is about the password. Save this, and coming to interested topics, we have only required. Let me copy this and put it over here. Just copy these interested topics, pass here and here as well. Interested topics is required, and it does not have any pattern. Save this. Now we need to have a disable property, disabled, and this disabled is something like register form. You need to get the register form. If it is invalid, or if he is not agreeing with this, not agreed, then we have to disable. So go here. So everything is proper, disabled, and we'll check email, sai@gmail.com. So actually speaking, it is not working as expected. Let's change the email pattern. So let me go into rejects utils, and here we have to change the email pattern. Let me change this email pattern to this one, and let me give / and paste. Yeah, save this and check the email, sai@gmail.com. You can see yeah, it is working fine. First name is required, last name is required, and if you are giving a mobile number with and password @gmail or 1 2 3 4 5 and Angular, paste, and give first name Kortivada and Sai Kumar. Right, it is working fine. Now on clicking on the register, we have to go and save the data in the mock API. So for that sake, let me go into the HTML file, and here what I'll do is format this, and I'll use a buttons. Type is equal to reset and type is equal to submit. So save this and go here. Let me go and create ng submit, and this is something like register method. Copy this register method, put it over here. Now when the user clicks on register, it has to call this, and we have to check first condition is if this dot register form dot valid and is agreed. If these both conditions are proper, then we have to save the data. For example, to save the data, let me create a service. So let me go into our src, and inside the app I'll just create a new folder called as services, and inside this service let me jump into the service, and let me use ls. So let me use cd.ls, and let me go into the services ls. Nothing is there. ng generate service and user service. I don't want to create the test files, skip tests. So we have created the user service. Let's write all our CRUD related stuff. So what I'll do is, first thing I'll use private HTTP client, which is HTTP client. So we got the HTTP client, and I'll use create user, and this create user will have a payload which will be received from our form, and that is user. Let me create an interface for this which will return an observable with any. Let me use any over here, and let me return this. So for this sake, let me use a endpoint. So private endpoint is equal to, my endpoint is users. So what is endpoint? I'll tell you. If you go into the mock API, this is my base URL till here, and this users is there, nodes is there. These are the endpoints. So I have created the endpoint, and now let me go into environment file, and inside the environment file let me create a base URL, and that base URL is equivalent to our base URL. Copy this and put it over here. So this is my base URL. Let me copy this base URL and go to your environment prod and create that base URL, because this will be common for whole application. Now let me go to user service, and we have endpoint user, and let me use a private where I'll be creating the URL. Private URL or user URL is equal to, I'll just use a tilt with environment dot base URL combined with my endpoint. This will be my URL. I can use this dot http client dot create or post. This post will receive a URL along with the payload. Now this user I'll just create over here, export interface user interface, and this will have all the values from our objects. So let me go here and click this edit. Just get this email. It is a string type, and then first name, it is again a string type, and we have something called as last name. This is also a string type, and mobile number, which is again a string type, and password string type, and interested topics, this could be an array or string of array. So string of array, and then we have something called as created at. We will be creating a date for us, so I'll use a string again, and then UUID. This will be created by the fake API itself, so let me use a string, and we have something called as ID. Okay, and the ID is object ID. This could be string, and let me use question mark. Now we have this ID and UUID, everything. So this will be my user, and for the post we are passing this URL, and this URL is this dot URL. Now this URL will be user URL. Save this. Now what I want to do is, if my payload, whatever I am receiving, if it is having an interested topics which is of type, because I may be getting a type of string or type of array of strings. So let me use type of string, if I get a type of string, then I have to convert this. Payload dot interested topics is equal to payload dot interested topics dot split of comma. So whenever we have that split, then we can get an array format. And also we need to add a create at. So this create at can be a new date with two string, because I want a string format, and save this. Now we have a create user. Now I want to call this create user from user service. Let me go here into the registration. I can go and inject that service private, and the private will have user service. Now that is nothing but user service, and this will be used to call create user service dot create user of, I'll be getting register form dot value. I want to pass all the values whatever I have entered, and I can subscribe to this, where we'll be getting the response, and this response will be the success response. Now what I can do, I can just use this success response to show a toast message. For showing a toast message in Angular material, we have something called as snack bar. Let me go into the snack bar. So we have something called as snack bar, and if you go here, you can go into the TS, you can import that snack bar service wherever you want. That is mat snack bar module. You can see this module. So now let me go into material module and add this snack bar module. Copy this and put it over here. I don't want to use this. I want to use only the module. Copy this module and import it. At the same time, export it. So paste, save. Now we have an access to mat snack bar. So let me inject that. Private, it is also a snack bar service. So snack bar service colon mat snack bar. So let me copy this snack bar service, and once we are coming into this subscribe, that is called as this dot snack bar service dot open with a message like user created successfully, and we can pass an action. For my action, that is nothing but X, and then I have a options over here. The options are something like direction, and direction is left to right, and we have duration, which is of 3000 milliseconds. After 3000 milliseconds it close, and vertical position is top, and horizontal position is at end, or you can use right. Save this. Now once the user is created successfully, we can show this particular snack bar. Let me go here, go to the Angular tutorial. Now Sai Kumar and Kurtivada, email is sai@gmail.com, 90 and sai@12345. and if you see this, it is not looking like a password. We will change it, and Angular JavaScript, and click on this. Now register is enabled. Let me click on register. You can see user created successfully. After creation, it has to clear point number 1, and let me go into the mock API, reload. If you see here, the data is created successfully. But let me try to use the same email and create it again. Now what happened, user created again successfully, and let me reload here, and if you see, there are 2 users with the duplicate email. So that is not a proper way. Why? Because this is just a mock. We are not checking anything from our backend logics. So it is just a mock. So whatever the data you are sending, it will store the data. So that validation should be happened in the front end. So 3 things we have to do. First thing is we have to convert this password with an icon like close and open. And on clicking on the register, we have to check the email. If the duplicate email exists, we should not store the data. And along with that, once the user is created successfully, this form has to be cleared. So if you see this, when I click on cancel, whole form got cleared. In the same way, if we are clicking this cancel button virtually, whole form will get cleared. So let me go here. First thing is we have to check the duplicate email. Let me go here and create a method called as get all users, and this get all users will return an observable which is of iUser array format, and then return this dot http client dot get, and the URL is this dot URL dot or as observable, which is of iUser array format. Save this. Now what I'll do is I'll get all the users first before creation. Here this dot user service dot get all users dot subscribe, and you will be getting the users list, and that users list will be iUser array, and it is an arrow function. So inside this arrow function, what I can do is I can just filter out. So const is check user email exist is equal to this dot you have user list. We can use not this users list dot filter, and inside this filter I'll be getting an object where this object is equal to iUser, and then implies obj dot email if it is equivalent to my this dot register form dot value dot email, if that is equal dot length gth length is greater than 0, then user email exists. Simple to say, user email exists. So what I can do, if user email exists, then error, else we have to create the user. For creation of user already we have here, so let me cut this and put it over here, and let me get this snack bar where I can say that user already exists, user already exists. Save this, and once the user is exists, then we are showing a toast message or a snack bar message. Now after showing a snack bar, after successful response, then we have to clear the form. So how to clear the form? Let me go into register component.html. What I'll do is when I click this reset from the TS, then automatically whole form will get cleared. So hash reset button, save this, and use our view child. Let me go here and at the rate view child of this value and this value, this is mat button, save this, and I'm not assigning anything, not condition. So here what I can do, I can use that this dot reset button dot element ref dot native element dot click. That means I am clicking virtually. So whenever I click virtually, it automatically reset whole form. So reset form logic also we wrote. Next thing is regarding the password. So let me close this, go at password, and this is the icon. So what I want to do is I want to add a click event on this icon. Whenever I click this icon, it has to show and it has to hide. So it should toggle. So what I'll do is I'll add a property binding with a type, and this type I'll just control it by using one variable. So what I'll do is password hidden is equal to true, and it is of boolean type. So if it is hidden, that means it is in hidden state, then we are showing the password. That means password is not visible. If it is visible, then we have to use type. So now let me close this here, save this. Now let me use a property binding. If it is hidden, then visibility should off, else it should visible. Visibility of icon name, and let me use a on click, or let me use click event where this should be equivalent to not of this, that means toggling part. Let me save this, go here, we are not getting that. Why? Because this is not closed properly. Save this, and visibility of does not exist on the register component. So what we are doing is we are using a variable type, it should be a string type. Save this. Now you can see okay, it is not looking as expected. Let's see, type is password hidden. Okay, not condition whenever I click this. So is password hidden is password, or else type. It is text, not type. Save this. Now go here, it is password, it is text. So it is working as expected. So we have cleared all our three problems. Let's test that. Let me go here and let me check the data as well once again. If you see here, there is last name, and last name, that is also fine. So everything is created properly. So let me cancel this and let me reset everything. Go here, reload. Now Sai Kumar sai@gmail.com, sorry, it should be Kurtivada sai@gmail.com, and mobile number is 90 90 90 99, and the password is sai@12345. Interested topics, I am using Angular, and this one select, and once I register, I don't have any users, hence it has to register properly. Click this. So it has been created successfully. Let me go here, refresh. You should have one user, and the user email is sai@gmail.com. If I try to register with this email again, that should not register. Let me go here and use sai2 and sai last and sai@gmail.com. Mobile number is 89 89 89 89, and one more number, I guess 0, and sai@1090. Interested topics, let me use React, and I agree with the terms and conditions. Let me click on register. So it is saying that user already exists. Actually speaking, this sai@gmail already exists. So let me go here, reload. If you see, we have only one user. Let me go here, click this. User already exists. Let me change it to 1 2 3 and click on register. User created successfully. If you go here, reload, you can see 2 datas in the list, and you can see the created at and UUID. UUID will be the unique ID which will be generated automatically once a new record inserted in this mock API database. Let me cancel this, go here. The last one which is pending is when I click on already register, it should go to the login page. Let me go into the register component.html and go here. Let me remove this href. Let me use router link and let me pass login, and I don't want to use any active links. So let me remove this, save this, go here and just click this. It went to login. So we are done with the registration part. So what we have implemented over here, let me revise. So here the cases are very simple. First we have created the UI part, then second we went for the validation part, and we also changed the icons. Third, we went with the registration part. We have created the registration directly without checking the duplication in the starting, and later we have created the registered users only when there is no duplication of email. So that we have handled in the users. If you see the user service, we are just handling the part where it is only related to the HTTP service layers. So this act like a service layer, and this will have only the business logic where it will communicate with our mock API database and get the data and showcase to us. So this is how we have created our registration module. And in the upcoming video, I'll show you how to create a login module, and also we will be seeing about this particular snack bar service. If you see the snack bar service, we are using the same duplicated part over here and here as well, but the only difference is this message, and here we are using the same content. So content and the actions are same. So instead of doing this, we will be creating a utility where we can pass just a content and the actions, it automatically renders over there with the same configuration, and it reduces the duplication of the code. So that's how we completed our registration module. In the upcoming video, we'll talk about the login module. Hope this series will give you a lot of things to understand logically, presentationally, and understandability. So hope you will be enjoying this series. If you like my video, like, share, subscribe to my channel for more updates. Signing off. Thank you.